Well, it seems like we have this discourse every offseason, but Penn State just continues to set the bar even higher. This could be the best Nittany Lion wrestling team in collegiate history.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda. Move and be moved. That is right. You are locked on to Penn State Wrestling. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Nittany Lions your first listen and watch every single day, your daily source for all things Penn State sports. My name is Seyko, and I am your host of the show, credentialed media member for both Penn State Wrestling and Penn State Football. And help me welcome back a very special guest, the voice of Penn State Wrestling, the expert himself, Jeff Byers, here to talk about a season overview. We're going to look at the schedule because even though Penn State is expected to dominate once again, and we're talking about resetting the record book, rewriting history, this is an interesting schedule with the home and home going to Iowa, going to Michigan, hosting a Nebraska team that has gone on the record to say they want to unseat Penn State. But what makes this lineup so interesting is the new faces. Masanosuke Ono, Marcus Blaze, PJ Duke, elite freshmen that are joining the team. How about transfer Rocco Welsh? So some lineup implications there. But Jeff, with those lineup implications, this is where the conversation is going to start, how this could once again be the best team. This 2025-26 roster could be the best team in collegiate history.
Yeah, I think a lot of things obviously have to come together. You got to have a team that stays pretty healthy, although this squad obviously has tremendous depth at most of the weight classes. So you feel good about that, even if there is an injury or two. And, you got to see how everybody continues to develop. But, certainly with the lineup that most are projecting, I think much like last year's team, it'll be a squad that at least has a chance to have an All-American at all 10 weights. And probably at least at 7 or 8 weights, you're going to have a wrestler that you feel like should be in contention at the very least for a national title at the end of the year. And with that type of prognosis, that gets you right in the discussion as greatest team ever, that type of potential, which of course, arguably, each of the last 2 Penn State teams have been exactly that. I think last year's team at the end of the day, not just setting the record at the NCAA tournament, I just think the overall depth on that team and the consistency with which they wrestled. And, I think we talked about it last year, and in many ways, having the 5 guys come back and finish third, even though you felt like all 5 were contenders for the national title. And in some ways, I think that makes last year's team even more remarkable in terms of really putting that team first and being able to have resilience even through what were for each of them individually very difficult circumstances or tough times, because again, they all clearly had the dreams of winning individual national titles as well.
And most of that lineup is returning. And those guys are not only All-America contenders, but at national title contenders. Okay, Luke Lillidahl is going to look to advance past that third place finish as now a true sophomore. 133, there is a potential opening there, at least. And some of this discourse goes off of what the intermat rankings have so far. There's nobody listed at 133 in the top ranked wrestlers for Penn State because, is the presumption that it's going to be Marcus Blaze? Maybe it's Masanosuke Ono, but either direction you go in for Penn State, I think it's safe to say that they are solid national title contenders. At 141, Braden Davis is ranked within the top 10. Okay, somebody that finished 5th a season ago. So it's an outside looking in perspective, but Davis, again, All-America hopes with, hey, if he catches fire at the right time, okay, maybe he gets to that top 4, that semifinal, and then anything could happen. There's Shane Van Ness, who's looking for a title. There is, Tyler Kasak. Maybe it's PJ Duke. Either of them are title contenders at 157. Mitchell Messenbrink, he is the title favorite at 165. Levi Haynes is the title favorite at 174. 184, you could make the argument that transfer Rocco Welsh is the title favorite. Even though, again, that is a loaded 184-pound weight class. 197, Josh Barr, title favorite. And then Cole Mirasola at the heavyweight, being potentially an All-America wrestler that, again, if he continues to get better on a day-by-day basis, could find himself into a semifinal if he gets hot at the right time.
Yeah, and listen, there's some guys there, I wouldn't sleep on a Lucas Cochran, a Connor Mirasola, Aaron Nagao coming back from injury. I mean, they have some guys that aren't getting a lot of preseason attention that one way or another may end up working their way into the lineup as well. But yeah, I don't think there's any question that at the very least they have a team that is going to be very difficult to beat either in a dual meet or a tournament. And I think, again, at most weights, you feel like they have a legitimate title contender. And certainly I think at every weight they have at the very least, a clear-cut All-American contender for sure.
Well, what they are chasing down, this isn't the only bit of history that they're trying to rewrite. That is the 177 points that the Penn State team set a season ago, that they reset the year before, but also reaching that accolade again of 10 out of 10 All-Americans. So both of these, the bar that Penn State continues to raise, the expectations become even more difficult here. And 4 straight NCAA team titles, looking for a 5th. But it's also another record to watch, Jeff, the dual meet streak that should get a lot more attention here. This Oklahoma State has the Division I record at 76. So Penn State is 5 away from tying it, 6 for resetting it.
Yeah, I think likely Penn State, if the things go the way Penn State is hoping, the expectation would be at the journeyman duels there in December would be the opportunity to set the new mark. And, you start talking about the accolades of this team and the accomplishments of this team and this program and the potential. And again, right now it's just potential, but the potential is for truly unprecedented stuff kind of across the board again in the upcoming season. The chance is certainly there to set the new dual meet mark with consecutive victories. And obviously they have a chance to take that to a much greater record in terms of the ultimate number. And as we've been saying, the opportunity is certainly there when you look at the scoring potential of this team, that it could, again, for a third straight year, set a new NCAA scoring standard. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited and certainly very optimistic if you're a fan. But I think it's going to be fun to see kind of how this thing plays out. And listen, there are some really good coaches, really good teams. We're in a little bit of a different era here. And so, there's some folks that feel like they may be able to get Penn State's number, if not this year, in the very near future. And I think that's, again, good for the sport, that you have a standard bearer that is being chased, but now it feels like there are some teams that, at least have a chance to complete that pursuit and overcome the Nittany Lions, again, if not this season, in the near future. That being said, I also think Penn State feels like it's in really good position to not be caught here in the foreseeable future. I mean, Penn State is going to be certainly competitive at the very least over the next 4 or 5 years. And as you project it right now, I think Penn State would be the favorite if you're kind of looking at projected lineups down the road. there's not a clear-cut year here over the next 3 or 4 years anyway, where you're thinking, yeah, Penn State's probably going to drop off a little bit, and one of these teams is clearly going to catch them.
Now, part of that with a lineup that is so strong, we've talked about the depth. It's how is it really going to look out? Because there are some battles that are going to take place, and it's because of the new faces that are joining this program. Masanosuke Ono, Marcus Blaze, PJ Duke, Rocco Welsh primarily. What is their outlook for this upcoming season? Well, we're going to talk about that next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And today's show is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, they keep moving the game forward. Let's talk about Penn State football for a moment, because they are in season currently as we await Penn State Wrestling, and I got to spotlight the true freshmen. There's actually a few true freshmen that have stepped up for Penn State this season, but now a new player is emerging, and that is Jameer Joseph. Jameer Joseph getting his first career interception, but not only that, he knew that he was taking it to the house. He knew it was a house call. Pick 6 late in the game against Villanova. So somebody that can truly push his way into the lineup, get more playing time, and it is moves like that that will help move the game forward. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. And this episode is brought to you by Wayfair. The weather's cooling down, the days are getting shorter, and that has me wanting to make my home feel even cozier. And when it comes to cozifying your space this fall, Wayfair is the place to go. Wayfair has everything you need to set the mood for the season, whether it's comfy recliners, warm bedding, autumn decor, or even an espresso machine, so you can make your favorite latte at home. You're going to love the variety from Wayfair. Wayfair has options for every style and every budget, so you don't have to compromise. Delivery's fast. Delivery is free. It's hassle-free, which makes a huge difference when you're refreshing your home. It's the perfect time to set up your home for fall so you can enjoy cozy nights in with family and friends. Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor, you'll find it all for way less at Wayfair.com. That is Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. I think a lot of people want to know about Masanosuke Ono the most. I mean, you could go in any direction of who's kind of that priority discussion point, whether it's Blaze, whether it's Duke, because Blaze seems most likely that he's going to be the starter of the freshmen. PJ Duke, does he get into a battle with Tyler Kasak, or does Penn State say, you know what, you've wrestled quite a bit, why don't you take some time off? And then there's Rocco Welsh, who is an instant starter that you get out of the transfer portal. So let's begin with Ono, because I just think there's so much intrigue. International superstar, right? Wins a gold medal at the World Championships and dominating elite. We're talking world-class competition. And he says, I want to go to Penn State. I want to be a folk style wrestler as well and capitalize on my success in freestyle. But with all that being said, there's a chance that he could redshirt this season, Jeff.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance. I also just, as you're going through that, and I think you're accurate in your assessment, but when you have a recruiting class as large as this one is for Penn State, and guys like Asher Cunningham and William Hankel are kind of the afterthoughts, because I'm telling you, those two are elite. Yes. Hankel is obviously on the international stage elite. Asher Cunningham, I'm not sure if people are understanding just how good he became last year and kind of the leaps that he has made over the last couple of years. And he was obviously very good to begin with, a state champion his junior year. But so, yeah, this class and the newcomers, Rocco Welsh kind of gets almost thrown in as an afterthought here as well. And you're talking about an NCAA finalist. And listen, Ono is just in terms of name recognition and international accomplishments is just at a very high level, and is just an intriguing face to add to that Penn State wrestling room in every way. Again, I think we've talked about it, Zach, but I do think the ideal would be to redshirt him just so he can take a year, make that adjustment to the college life in a foreign country, for one thing, but also to adjust to folk style. And again, I think he'll make that adjustment just fine, but it is an adjustment. And the mat wrestling in particular, I think that the more time he has to develop that and to really work on some of the techniques, the better off it's going to be for him and what he can accomplish in the collegiate scene or at the collegiate level. But yeah, I mean, he is truly a an established world-class athlete. And again, his resume speaks for itself. He's just a remarkably accomplished young man.
And Penn State could redshirt him with all of that discourse. And his situation is so unique because, yes, let's point it out again. I caught a little bit just to kind of put a lid on it. And then again, we have so many other wrestlers to talk about here. But Ono, again, coming over from Japan and being a part of a United States educational system, also going through week by week, kind of managing your weight rather than building up for one solo competition where you have a dual meet, possibly two in a given week. So that's just, again, there are all these subtle nuances in addition to the folk style learning curve that, hey, I caught some pushback originally when I questioned it and said, hey, this is a possibility, to now where, yeah, it is something worth noting about Ono joining Penn State. So we'll see, but he is, again, if Penn State puts him in the lineup, he is a national title contender in my mind. Blaze, same thing, who seems like the most likely starter at 133. Just, Jeff, let's speak to it after he wins a U20 gold medal alongside PJ Duke as well, who we're going to talk about. Blaze is going to be one of the reserves for the world team here. I think there's a lot to like about Blaze going into, yes, he'll be the newbie, he'll be the true freshman, but right out of the gate, he's already in the top four if you put him in if you have to put him in those 133 rankings.
Yeah, and again, I think all of these newcomers, if need be, are certainly capable of stepping into the starting lineup and performing at a level that would be becoming of this Penn State program. So it really is a remarkable class, and Marcus Blaze is certainly a guy that just feels college ready. Aaron Nagao, though, I will say I think the preference is always to redshirt where you can, just to give that adjustment period for the kids to college life as well as to the expectations that come with being part of the Penn State program and to work on all of that. Obviously, there have been plenty of exceptions over the Cale Sanderson era here, where true freshmen have come in and competed at a very high level right out of the gate. And I think, again, all of these guys that we're talking about are capable of doing that. I think the nice situation that Penn State finds itself in, though, is I also think it is possible that all of these guys redshirt at the end of the day because of the quality that Penn State has in the room. And again, there's some, not clear right now where Aaron Nagao may go in terms of the weight class that he would compete in. Actually, probably the same thing with Ono. There's no question Blaze is ready and would compete for a national title out of the gate. And I don't mean that we know he'd be in the national finals. I just mean that he would be competitive with anybody on the college scene right now. I think most are expecting that Blaze ultimately will be the guy there at 133. And I think, it feels like at worst, he'll be a top 5 guy at the NCAAs. And certainly, I think a very real possibility that he could win the national title as a true freshman.
I mean, 133 might be one of the most entertaining weight classes because there's always been this talent that is just waiting to break through. But then you have the veterans that return in a Lucas Bird and a Drake Ayala. Ryan Crookham comes back from injury.
Yep.
And then Blaze, he is right in that mix. I'm not saying that he's the favorite, but he goes right into that mix with those four. And then there's a Zan Fugit, for example, or an Evan Frost, and then Jacob Vandy. So 133 is just going to be entertaining across the board, whether it ends up being Marcus Blaze or an Aaron Nagel, for example. And let's continue with the same thing that you said about, okay, Blaze could, in theory, redshirt. Penn State doesn't have to start him. Same thing goes for PJ Duke. And after PJ Duke, one against Yanni Diakamahalis, representing the United States the senior level team, winning a gold medal at the U20 level. I mean, PJ Duke, it seems like it's almost a lock that he goes in at the lineup at 157, but that's actually not the case.
No, and I'll tell you, I know he ultimately did not win the national title last year, but I am telling you, Tyler Kasak is a really special wrestler and just has a competitive fire that is Carter Starachi like. And I know he's not just going to sit back and take a backseat to anybody. And I know PJ Duke isn't just anybody. I get it. I'm just telling you, it is going to be worth, if you get the opportunity to be in that room, it'll be worth watching those two go at it. And again, as teammates, it's not going to be just going at it. They'll be picking each other's brain and kind of figuring out what they can borrow from each other as well, which is kind of one of those unique things when you get teammates. Obviously, they want to be the guy. And I think they both look at themselves as the guy. I also think they both have a ton of trust in the coaching staff, and that the decisions that are made are going to be best both for the program and for the individuals. But Tyler Kasak, to me, is the guy to beat. I know Antrell Taylor will go into the season ranked number one, and rightfully so.
As he should, yeah.
Title, absolutely. But Kasak out wrestled him and beat him in each of their two meetings last year.
This is true.
So I don't think there's any doubt that in Kasak's mind and in Penn State's mind, Kasak is the guy to beat if he can hold off PJ Duke and be in that starting lineup. And again, this is one of those situations where, honestly, Zach, they may have the two best wrestlers in the country, one and two in whatever order in that room. And if that is the case, let's not forget too that the possibility exists. I don't think it will be how this plays out, but Tyler Kasak also does have a redshirt year available.
That is true.
And so they do have some flexibility there in terms of what they want to do or how they want to approach this. With the weight class. And again, my guess, and it is just a guess, is that they'll take advantage of the opportunity to redshirt Duke, give him that chance to again, just acclimate to college life. He's obviously ready to go wrestling-wise, but I think maybe getting a little downtime after the year he's had. It has been a whirlwind year and a very high-level competition year for PJ Duke. I just don't think it would be the worst thing in the world to just allow him to sit back, catch his breath for a moment, refocus, and kind of adjust to everything that's going on, and roll next year. And again, it'll still have to be be in a fight with this in this room, which is again just crazy when you start saying that there's a possibility, either this year or next that. Tyler Kasak or PJ Duke. And then you start going down the long list of names. It's like, well, I mean, either Connor Mirasola or Josh Barr or Rocco Welsh are going to be out of the lineup this year. And again, it's just the circumstance and in many ways, a very nice situation that Penn State has set up for itself. But it is really hard to imagine some of these guys that we're talking about potentially not being in the starting lineup. And obviously the concern from a fan perspective is, well, that in this era with the transfer portal, is it inevitable that some of these guys move on?
Well, speaking of the transfer portal, we mentioned Rocco Welsh multiple times. We got to get to him, as he might very well be the starter at 184. It seems that way, and he would be a national title contender alongside a pretty top-heavy race with two other competitors. We're going to talk about that, plus the schedule, even though it is not finalized, but we do know most of Penn State's opponents here, so what to expect on a pretty entertaining schedule. That is all coming up next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home. Whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades, these are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And take McClanahan's and State College, for example, your local convenience store. These are the local spots that are there to serve you. Spending money doesn't just support the business. It supports the people behind it and the community around it. These local spots are what make the neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnCollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. And this episode is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on who delivered. Powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Now let's break it down. For Penn State, I'm going to go with two different players, actually. I'm going to go with Amari Campbell and Tony Rojas in the most recent game against Villanova. They delivered in a big way. Both of them were the leading defenders in that Villanova game. Amari Campbell leading the team in tackles and tackles for loss. Tony Rojas was actually active in the pass rushing game as well. He had 5 tackles. 2 of them came as sacks. So the linebackers, that dynamic duo, was extremely active against Villanova. They delivered, no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching, you've been following along week after week, you know this performance was not a fluke. And just like how Campbell and Rojas delivered for Penn State, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order and stack it up all season. And you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Rocco Welsh joined this Penn State program, and it didn't seem like there was a realistic outlook because it was already very crowded. You know, I had thought that, hey, Josh Barr came in at 184. There's a chance that he could cut weight and go back there. Does that prompt a battle with Zach Ryder, who was at the program once upon a time? And this conversation isn't so much about Zach Ryder. It's about how Rocco Welsh just said, I'm here to fight. I'm here to wrestle. And that's kind of what Cale Sanderson operates with the standard of. So Rocco Welsh fits right in with this Penn State team as it is, just because he said, well, I think I'm the best, so I should be able to start for the best program in the country. Now, Zach Ryder leaving to go to Oklahoma State kind of opens up some more avenues. But even still, like you said before we went to break, Jeff, it's what does that mean? So Josh Barr isn't cutting to 184, his natural weight class, and Connor Mirasola could be out of the lineup at 197, because how do you just bench Rocco Welsh, who was a runner-up not too long ago before he took that redshirt season at Ohio State, and is presumed to be the number 2 ranked wrestler at 184 with Max Macchinelli and Angelo Ferrari in that top 3 there. But that's how I see this weight class, is it's one of those 3. If Rocco Welsh is the guy at 84, where it's a 3-man battle there for that gold medal at NCAAs.
Yeah, I would add Zach Ryder in that mix. Zach is
Aiden Sinclair too. Aiden Sinclair as well.
I mean that weight class. There's probably 5, I mean those 3 for sure in the mix, but there's probably I would probably add Sinclair in there too. But Ryder is not going to take a back seat to anybody. So I think that's, to me, that weight class is the most intriguing going into the season in terms of, all right, how does this play out, and what order those top 4 or 5 guys actually finish, and kind of as the season progresses, what does that jockeying look like there at the top of the weight class? But yeah, I mean, Rocco Welsh is right in the mix. And again, I could finish anywhere from 1 to 5, and I don't think any of those spots would be terribly surprising as we head into the season. And I think you could say the same thing about the other kids we mentioned there. But I think from Penn State's perspective, you feel like, you're getting a guy that is 2 years removed from being an NCAA finalist, presumably grew and improved last year, and now in a room that is absolutely loaded in the upper weight. I mean, it's loaded throughout, but I mean, the upper weights, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So in terms of different looks, different feels he can get in the room, and then, working with Casey Cunningham, working with Cale Sanderson, it's hard to imagine that Rocco Welsh, again, won't be right there in the mix. It's just, again, that weight class. I mean, McAnally is obviously just a very special talent, has that extra level of competitive fire that I think the great ones have to have, and he certainly has greatness written all over him. But Ferrari does too. Zach Ryder, I just have a tremendous amount of respect for him and his family, and I know, there's probably a little extra fire in the belly here for Ryder going into the upcoming season. So from a fan's perspective, I think it's just going to be fun to see the amount of top level wrestling you're going to have at that weight class. Right. And then obviously from each team's perspective, it'll be intriguing to see, all right, well, who ultimately, when the chips are all on the table here in March in Cleveland, who ultimately is able to come out on top. And I think McAnally goes into the season rightfully as the perceived favorite, but not by much over any of the 4 or 5 guys that are going to be right there as well.
No, and I think, and right now as it stands, I think that Zach Ryder and Aiden Sinclair could absolutely emerge into this tier 1. But right now, at McAnally, Welsh, Ferrari, they're tier 1B, so to speak. Ryder and Sinclair, I think that's fair to start the season. Again, it could shake up anyway when we get to March. Okay, before we get to March, the season schedule, again, it is not finalized, but we know for the most part who Penn State is going to wrestle. It's been announced. Oklahoma's coming to Rec Hall. They're going to be at Drexel. They're going to be at Wyoming. This was loosely confirmed by the Journeyman Collegiate Duels social media account that they're going to wrestle Stanford in Tennessee for that upcoming dual meet there. So Penn State, we know some of those non-conference opponents, not Oklahoma State, unfortunately. Everybody's kind of chomping at the bit for that one. And then at home, in no order just yet, Ohio State, Nebraska, Indiana, Rutgers, and then on the road, Iowa, going to Carver Hawkeye, Maryland, Michigan, who I think should have a much needed bounce back season. I look at that lineup, and that is just such a significantly improved lineup from a season ago. That is certainly, again, for the Wolverines program that should not be decimated the way that they were by Penn State just because of the legacy, and Northwestern. So Jeff, when I look at the schedule, Oklahoma, Wyoming, obviously just being some non-conference opponents that Penn State doesn't routinely schedule, but I think Ohio State, once again, has these breakout stars in the lineup that if they catch fire at the right time, could at least give any program, any team some fits this season. Obviously, Nebraska. Those are the ones that I look at as the Bryce Jordan center dual meets if they're going to do 2 again this season. Yeah,
I think, again, it should be a good schedule. Some teams that are certainly going to be chomping at the bit to get an opportunity here against Penn State. The Nittany Lions obviously will be favored in all of the dual meets that they wrestle in the upcoming season. And, again, if things go as Penn State is hoping and expecting, they would be able to set the dual meet record for most consecutive wins in the journeyman duels there in December. So I think it is a good schedule. I think they'll probably get a couple of good tournament looks in there as well during the season, which will help in terms of postseason preparation. And again, it's just this team, again, as really has been the case every year under Cal, certainly after that first season, it's just going to be a fun team to watch. There's just a lot of individuals that when you think about the opportunity, hey, I get to go watch Mitchell Messenbrink. I don't care who he's wrestling. That's going to be a pretty neat opportunity to go watch Levi Haynes close out his remarkable and seems like a very quick collegiate career. But that's going to be a ton of fun to watch him wrap things up. I'm really excited to see Luke Lillidahl and the next leap that I think he will make in the upcoming season. And I think when you look just up and down the lineup, it's not just that you're expecting these guys to win. It's that you're expecting them to be high point scorers, exciting to watch, fun to watch. And guys that once again, and when we talk about the potential at the NCAA tournament, again, it's not just that you have guys that you feel good about being on the podium or getting to the national championship bouts at their weight class. It's that you feel really good about bonus points being racked up and down the lineup. I mean, again, we could go all through all 10 weight classes, but, certainly at the NCAA tournament, as we sit here right now, well before the season even begins, I would expect at least a bonus point match from all 10. And, probably in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 bonus point matches at the NCAA tournament, which is pretty remarkable in and of itself. But again, you just start going down, whoever it is at 57 is you're expecting to get lots of bonus points because both Duke and Kasak are capable of racking up falls in a hurry. Shane Van Ness certainly capable of racking up a ton of bonus points in the upcoming season. Obviously, Messenbrink and Haynes. Rocco Welsh has that big time pin potential. Josh Farr should be a bonus scoring machine in the upcoming season. And, and even, 33, 41 heavyweight, there's potential there all across the board to rack up bonus points more often than not in each of those weight classes.
And I also should have mentioned with the scheduling, Penn State is hosting the Big Ten tournament March 7th and 8th, 2026 at the Bryce Jordan Center. So that's a part of this schedule as well.
Yeah, and I do think it's a very unique opportunity for Penn State fans this year to be able to have Big Tens in your backyard and then the NCAA tournament, in essence, in your backyard, a pretty short drive to Cleveland. That is, it is not very often that you have very easy driving distance for the Penn State fans that are in and around the State College or Central Pennsylvania area. For both the conference tournament and the nationals. A lot of years where neither are within the easy driving distance. And so I do think that makes the potential here for this being such a special season even more remarkable because that there's going to be a strong Penn State contingent in Cleveland as there was in Philadelphia last year. And obviously at the Jordan Center, you're going to have an overwhelming Penn State presence.
And this is just the first of many conversations around the 25-26 season. So I hope people appreciated this overview for Penn State wrestling. Expectations are high again, as they should be. And that's where we're going to cap this conversation here on Locked On Nittany Lions. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section. Thank you to the everydayers. If you're not an everydayer, become one. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. You can check out Jeff's work down below outside of Penn State Wrestling. Links will be in the description. Jeff, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate the insight and the perspective as always, and can't wait to catch up again about Penn State Wrestling as we are not that far out.
Sounds good. Thanks, Zach.